On the radio show The Breakfast Club, Andrew Yang appeared to finally reveal why he endorsed Joe Biden. And there's an issue with this. So first, let me show you where I saw this news from Kimberly Nicole Foster here, tweeting out, Andrew Yang is on The Breakfast Club saying Biden told him he'd have a cabinet position. We all knew that's why he endorsed, but you're not supposed to say that. No, you are not. And I'll tell you exactly why in a minute. First, let me give you the direct quote. Since I can't play this video, The Breakfast Club is very particular about people using their clips, but I can give you the direct quote here. So Charlemagne, on the left there, he asks, did Biden promise you a cabinet position? And then Yang says, we've talked, and I'd have a place in the administration is the pretty clear message. So afterwards, I'll link to this video in the description box below my video. This is at about the 16-minute mark, so you can see it for yourself. It's the exact quote. Now, before I get to the issue, there's, on one hand, this is kind of refreshing that he's being open and honest with this. Most politicians are not going to admit this. They're not going to say this. So you can give Yang some credit here for at least being honest. At the same time, it's pretty selfish. If this is the reason why you endorse Joe Biden. Now, he also goes on to say, well, it appears Joe Biden's going to be the nominee, and I said I was going to back the nominee. Okay, fine. But you could wait until he's actually the nominee instead of, endorsing him early and not getting Biden to fight for anything you fought for. Andrew Yang had said that he would endorse a candidate that backed a universal basic income. Well, right now, Bernie Sanders is fighting for a $2,000 universal basic income during this crisis, a monthly universal basic income of $2,000. Joe Biden, nowhere. Joe Biden has essentially disappeared the past few days. But even apart from that, Biden is not backing a UBI right now. So you have one candidate that is still in the race, Bernie's still in the race, backing a UBI, and Joe Biden not, yet Yang backed Joe Biden. Now, the other issue with this is a legal issue, because apparently this is illegal. So this is Title 18 U.S. Code Section 599, Promise of Appointment by Candidate. So whoever being a candidate directly or indirectly promise or pledging the appointment or the use of his influence or support for the appointment of any person to any public or private position or employment for the purpose of procuring support in his candidacy shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both, and if the violation was willful, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. So this is punishable for up to 2 years in prison. Now, if you're thinking, oh, but everyone, they all do this, right? They all do this. Well, that may be true, but there's usually enough plausible deniability where they're able to get around it. But this became an issue 4 years ago with Donald Trump, when Donald Trump promised Ben Carson a position in his cabinet, and Ben Carson discussed this openly. And who brought issue with it? A Hillary Clinton-backed group. So let me give you this story. So this is March 31st, 2016. Watchdog group alleges Trump illegally promised position to Carson. Let me zoom in a little more here so we can all read it. A political accountability group backed by Hillary Clinton supporters this week filed a complaint to the Justice Department alleging that Donald Trump illegally promised Ben Carson a position in his administration in exchange for his endorsement, according to a document provided to a Politico on Thursday. Quote, it has recently come to light that Mr. Donald Trump may have willfully offered Dr. Ben Carson an appointment in to his administration should he become president in return for supporting his candidacy in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 599, wrote Brad Woodhouse, the head of the David Brock, huge Clinton backer here, David Brock-backed American Democracy Legal Fund. The letter is dated March 29th and addressed to Raymond Hustler, the head of the Justice Department's Public Integrity Section. So, if you don't know David Brock, he's one of the people that put money into fake Twitter accounts to create a lot of hate online during 2016 against Bernie Sanders during the whole primary with Hillary Clinton. David Brock, big Hillary Clinton backer, both in terms of money, both in terms of just what he does, as you can see here as another example. So while it was a huge issue in 2016 when Ben Carson did it, I'm not seeing much right now in terms of what Andrew Yang did here. Now, I'm not saying, look, because this happens all the time, and Andrew Yang, whatever, like I'm not really all that concerned about Andrew Yang going to jail or whatever. But at the very least, Joe Biden, which I think is the real issue here, that Joe Biden promised this, Joe Biden should be facing some criticism over this, that this has now come out publicly, and we all know about it. And at the same time, I mean, just why? Why did Andrew Yang why did Andrew Yang back Joe Biden? I mean, we know why here, but if he actually cared, what I'm saying is if he actually cared about the things that he fought for, why would he back Joe Biden? A lot of people, a lot of these so-called outsiders, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard in some ways, these people have just sort of exposed themselves for being completely career-oriented and just making moves to help themselves. So while, look, I liked that Andrew Yang brought some of these issues to the table. I liked that he brought up UBI and that became a topic of conversation that we are now seeing a lot more focus on during this crisis. It is just, you can't, this is why people have an issue with politicians, because they say one thing and then in private, they do something else. Ultimately, the vast majority of them are in this for themselves, which is why I always go back to Bernie Sanders being a once-in-a-lifetime candidate and once-in-a-lifetime politician, someone that actually had a 40-year record of fighting for people, even when there were positions that were unpopular back in the 80s and 90s. And nobody has a record that can match up to that. And when you have people like Andrew Yang, who pretended to be a Sanders supporter, he said he was a Sanders supporter in 2016, not even be able to endorse the person that you say you support in 2020, at the very least, it's incredibly disappointing.